Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of the WrightHereShow. A very special guest today. The most handsomest man in Fingerless. Let's welcome Albert Rose. And a little air horn as well. Yes. What's the crack?
Nothing exciting. Another miserable day in work. Now yourself.
Another miserable day in work. So where are you working?
Still at Marks and Sparks.
Marks and Sparks. How's that going? Because I know Debenhams was after kicking off a fuss, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the minute it's still only the groceries and that. They didn't open for appointments or anything, so that's all next week.
Okay. And are people still trying to break in upstairs?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a daily occurrence.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, barriers mean nothing to these cunts.
Yeah, barriers mean nothing to these cunts. So anyone who doesn't know Albert or the connection me and Albert went to college for 3 years together.
About 3, I'd say. Yeah.
About three glorious years, as you might say. We created a show in our last year together, which got us a little award. Got us what was it? The Access Award in Ballymun.
Yeah. It was a prize, wasn't it? We got some money out of it, didn't we?
We got like free rehearsal space. Yeah. We got like free rehearsal space, and we got to use the facilities and stuff like that. And I think I made the most of that when I was rehearsing Astronaut and the recording studio and whatnot. But the show me and Albert did back in 2016 was an Intermedial piece.
The best way of describing it, I think. Yeah.
How would you describe it?
It's a hard show to describe, and kind of in front of it, you've got lip syncing, you've got video screens, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, Intermedial. Yeah.
So the way it worked was that the show, there was loads of elements of the show where there was video, sound, live performance, and the show couldn't progress unless all the elements were in play. Yeah. So the show would continuously play on if it was jumping from screen to stage. What was the show about then? Explain to people what the show was about. Because this was actually a part of our thesis. And what it was is that the style of the show was a part for my thesis, and the actual topic of the show was for your thesis.
Yeah, so I think it worked out for both of us. We helped each other.
Yeah, we kind of gave each other a hand.
I mean, it's funny. This is today because a thing popped up on my Facebook today. It was 5 years ago today. We handed in our thesis.
Jesus Christ.
That's what I'm saying. 5 years, that's what's scary.
And so what was your thesis about?
Mine was about drag performance and in the mainstream. Has it changed drag performance? Is it as risky? Is it as outsider as it was? Does it change the dynamics of it? And I think it's come a long way in 5 years since I wrote that.
Yeah, no, it has definitely. To me, the style of the show, I'm not sure you don't like the way it was a comedy. It was like not a farcical comedy. It was like I call it slapstick, Dublin slapstick.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
And I'd always compare it to in a different sense to Mrs. Brown's, and you'd be like, no.
Mrs. Brown's. Listen, it's entertaining for some people, but I think Mrs. Brown's is lowest common denominator. You know what I mean? It's kind of stuff you can switch your head off to, and I love stuff you can switch your head off to, but I still sometimes the quality has to be a little bit better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The all I remember from that show was your bathroom with Christopher and myself when we were filming. So tell the glorious people how we filmed that and how we created some of them scenes.
We literally filmed it with my phone at the time, and this is probably a little bit before iPhone cameras are as good as they are now. They were good then, but they're really good now. So we needed to film the scene with you, shaving it all off for your first.
No, explain. Go into a little bit more detail. Shaving them all off.
In what way? Oh, everything. everything. I think we didn't shake your arse. I don't remember that. If
Yeah,
you did, I don't remember.
yeah. I think
Did you? I don't remember that. I don't watch the clips or anything.
no.
Oh, you did. But then, obviously, it was filmed in my gaff, so then we had to dump everything. And my mum and dad come home later and like, what the fuck were you doing?
Me,
Having a little
you,
shaving party.
having a little shaving party. It was like me, you, Christopher, and Bic razors. All I remember was like 2 packets of Bic razors and the V's.
I still didn't get everything off.
Yeah.
You hairy boss.
Yeah. So the show was. I remember it was like the hypocrisy. Was it the hypocrisy of straight drag queen? Being straight.
Yeah, I think it was kind of the juxtaposition. Like we all know about not like drag queens that are gay, but I think straight drag queens 5 years ago was
5 years ago.
not taboo, but like it's just something you didn't hear much about. Whereas you watch, like obviously RuPaul's Drag Race, for example, they've had a couple of one I know in the UK version they've had a straight man come on and do it. So I think it's something that's changed. So, like I said, there's so many girls doing drag now, and they're called, I think, bio queens. I think there's another word for them as well, but bio because they're biological women. Because I think obviously they realise that drag isn't necessarily just a reflection of women; it's a heightened sense of woman. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
I think that's what girls see in drag. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And has the drag has it progressed like a lot? I know there was, like you said, there was judgment, was not a judgmental feel around straight drag queen. Has that kind of judgmental side?
Personally, I don't see a problem with it. I think drag is for everyone. I think people have a very narrow-minded view of what drag is. A lot of people still think that drag is just a man dressing up as a woman, but I think there's so much more to it than that now. Anyway,
well, like what?
I mean, like in a sense, in gender. I mean, not necessarily there's more too. I mean, there's more. I mean, drag in general is playing with gender. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the idea of gender in general now is a hot topic. You know what I mean?
It's a very hot topic.
It's a hot topic. I think I obviously the younger generation. I talk about this like I'm an alpha, but I mean the younger generation now. When we were 21 and 22, they're a lot freer with gender and so much more fluid and their sexuality. There's no kind of labels on it. You know what I mean? Whereas so many people are still hung up on you're straight, you're gay, you're a man, you're a woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How was the drag community responded to all these new genders and new communities, I suppose, within, if that's the best way of saying it?
I think most people are fairly open to it and very happy about it. I mean, there is always going to be the old guard that think drag is this and that's the way it should be. There was controversy with RuPaul herself because at one point she said she didn't want to have transgender women on the show because they thought it was like a leg up.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas for a lot of people, a lot of drag queens, it is a start for them, for transgender women, for them to start to play with gender and see how they feel, and they realize, oh wait, maybe I do want to be a woman. You know what I mean? That is, it's a gateway. It is a gateway for some people, and for some people, it's just drag. It's something you like to do as for fun. You know what I mean? You get to be someone else for a while. That's how I see drag. It's to be someone else for a while. It's same as any performance. It's being someone else for a while. But I think to discount and say that transgender people can't be drag queens is bullshit. There are still women who are transgendered now who perform as drag queens, and it's a totally different character to them when they're a woman in the daytime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same as there's biological women who do drag. Well, it's not the same woman they are in the daytime. This is being able to get out of your own skin for a few hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's. I remember noticing that, especially in the conversation when we were doing Project Queen. It was it's being able to put down yourself, like whoever you are during the day, and then bring to life someone else during the night, which is completely like it is it is still yourself, but it's everything you want it to be. It's everything, like there's no flaws within it and stuff like that.
I think it's a character you create for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a character, like you said, exactly what you said. It's something that you always wanted to be, not necessarily all the time, but it is a part of you that you've always wanted to let out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And how is the you say bio queens? It's like I'm always fascinated with like the terminology within the community. Yeah. What new? Because I remember last time I was speaking, there was new terms that I haven't even, like I've never even heard of.
There's new terms every day. You just have to keep in the loop. You know what I mean? Try to defend someone. I think a problem now as well is because all of this is moving so fast and there's so many different terms. As soon as one person takes one step wrong and says one step forward, it's the idea to just push them out completely and cancel them. I was like, no, that's not going to get people on your side.
Yeah.
You need to educate people. You know what I mean? You can't just say, oh, you're cancelled. That's it.
The cancel culture vibe, yeah.
I think a lot of cancel culture is accountability culture. I mean, it's more of a problem in the States rather than here, but I think it has its good and has its bad. But I don't think we should be judging people off one word they've said wrong, especially if it's only recently. You should be using that as a teaching moment, especially when it comes to pronouns and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I even remember talking to you. I still don't know the pronouns of specific genders, like of what has come about in the last 5-10 years.
It's different even in just 5 years since what we did. I think the wrong word to use is dated, but I mean a lot of the stuff that we probably talked about in it is totally changed. For example, the main reason for this existence is almost obsolete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The idea of a straight drag queen. I think, like I said, there's a lot more probably to explore what we wrote, but saying straight out straight. Just someone who's just straight as a drag queen, I don't think that'll fly anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not.
I think we've moved on a little bit.
A little bit. Is there still qualms? Is that the word? Qualms? Is there still qualms? That's the word. Thank you, Albert. Is there still qualms? Is there still qualms within the community and obviously Ireland? As I know, like in 2015, referendum came. That was a boost in the best direction. I noticed a lot more drag before everything kind of closed down, especially from 2016. Maybe because I was looking at it, maybe I was investigating, that I noticed that there was a lot more drag communities, and there was a bigger community than I thought. Have we as a country still been making the right steps in the right direction? No.
I think, especially the referendum. How do I put this? I think people are happy for us to marry, and they're happy to let us live, but they don't want to see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't think this is everyone, especially in Dublin, obviously, because we're very progressive, because we're a big city and everything. But people forget once they step outside of Dublin, a lot of the protections they have here are almost gone. You know what I mean? And but even here, it's still certain places you couldn't go and be romantic with someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a man with another man or anything. I do think we've made progress, but I think the idea that just because we passed marriage equality, suddenly homophobia has disappeared,
which is not.
Do you know what I mean? Or there's been more acceptance. I think to drag anyway, there's obviously been more acceptance for the simple fact that Drag Race is just this totally took off in the last 5 years. I think. Does it mean more acceptance? I'm not too sure. I think it does and it doesn't, because I think some of them just view it as another reality show.
That's what I think, yeah. That's where...
It's just the Real Housewives or whatever. They're just characters.
It was entertainment rather than an actual movement, in that sense.
Yeah, like, you see it when you go to the drag shows. It was predominantly gay men. Of course, there was women there as well, mostly lesbians, I would imagine. Obviously, I don't know if they were true, but obviously, my best friend I went with, obviously a woman, but again, she's bi. But when you go now, it's predominantly women. Like, I don't know if I have a problem with it. It's just it's strange, the shift in 5 years. Like, you used to go see these drag shows, the international drag queens, like everyone from Drag Race. You'd go to see them in the George or Break for the Border. Like,
what's that now?
You don't remember Break for the Border?
I'm trying.
Dingy little nightclub. It's gone now. It's gone. It used to be just behind Stephen's Green.
No.
It was underneath a hotel. It was places like that, or the Tivoli. Do you remember the Tivoli?
I remember the Tivoli. I remember the Dragon.
Yeah.
And
the Dragon, obviously.
The Dragon, and then the one just off Temple Bar. place just off
Oh,
Temple Bar.
you're talking about gay bars. It's
Oh,
not just
Temple,
gay
yeah.
bars. No, I mean that's what I'm saying. The Tivoli was a place like outside. If a queen was too popular, you go to the Tivoli, or they used to
Oh,
have it, or they still have it in the Liberty Hall Theatre, places like that. And then it was a big deal 5 years ago when they just had like a drag race tour, and it was in the Olympia. And we thought that was fucking huge. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And now it's been cancelled. Not cancelled. Been rescheduled twice. They play arenas now. They get like 7 or 8 girls from the show who are really popular, and they do an arena tour across Europe. Like I think they sold out the 3 arena.
That's deadly.
But then places like in Amsterdam, they're selling out 10,000 capacity places, and they're playing for 3 nights. Like
Yeah.
that's just so it is okay. So yeah, so maybe it is a good thing for visibility and less homophobia, but I don't know. Again, this brings into the question the whole idea what the show is about, and the thesis was about like, is it a bad thing that drag has become so mainstream? You know what I mean?
That's yeah.
Uh, I
What
don't
is it?
know.
Is it a bad thing that it's become mainstream? Yeah, I understand. That is it's something you kind of takes a lot of investigation, like in a lot of history. Like you have to kind of look back through the years and see what has it been mainstreamed, like what has progressed in the right way, what has not progressed in the right way, like what has benefited the community, what has not benefited the community from it, and you kind of weigh up your options in that sense.
I think as well, there's there's more acceptance for certain types of drag queens than there is for other kinds of drag queens. Same with acceptance for different kinds of gay men or say different kinds of lesbians. You know what I mean? What is more acceptable to society? So it seems with drag,
Yeah.
it's the idea of very feminine queens. We used to say fishy queens. We don't
Fishy.
say fishy.
You
We
don't
don't
say
say
fishy
fishy
anymore.
anymore.
Ah,
No,
no,
that's very offensive.
I remember I was a fishy queen. That's
Yeah, you were.
yeah,
You were.
yeah.
They're always the most popular. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As you can imagine, because
Who
you'd
was
feel like
the Big Brother winner? Courtney Act?
Courtney Act, yeah,
Courtney
like
Act.
her.
Yeah.
Whereas at least Courtney's actually talented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Courtney's a great singer, and Courtney's a great comedian. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas you get a lot of girls who just look fantastic. They get great clothes, and none of them is made by them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's no talent. You know what I mean? Of course, there's a talent to paint as well as you can. You know what I mean? And look fantastic, but yeah, it's wrong to say there's no talent. But I mean, there's not a lot of I don't know anything else to it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like it's just the bare minimum, the basics or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas you find like there's certain kinds of drag queens that are still popular, but the kind of drag queens coming up aren't like that at all. Like you'd have someone like did I ever tell you who Bianca Del Rio was?
No. Who's that?
Bianca won, I think, season 6. Could be season 7, probably season 6. She is a comedian, but she was very much known as an insult comic. So everything she did was very gross is the wrong word. Very obviously insulting.
Okay.
Very blue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Very strong language all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on top of that, she was very talented. She looked great and everything. Great personality. But again, then you got a lot of girls or newer people to the drag community who say, "Oh, but most of the things she says is offensive." That's you can't say that. I'm like, we need to be able to make fun of ourselves. You know what I mean? We make fun of our own community, and maybe there's some words she said that maybe she shouldn't have said, but nothing they say is malicious. You know what I mean? Or meant to be really insulting. You know what I mean? If her job is to be an insult queen, you know what I mean?
If that's
so,
who
yes, she's still popular now, but you don't see a lot of people doing what she does now because it's not acceptable.
Is that because of where I suppose every culture is at this point, where it's there's like a hypersensitivity, I suppose, on everything?
Yeah, like I say this all the time. I said I'm a politically correct person. I try to know the right things to say, but I do, and the right pronouns and so on. But I do think we've gotten to a point, like you said, hypersensitivity. There's no room for growth.
Yeah,
there's no room for learning, and that's what I worry about. You can't say it's slightly different without being thrown out the window. You know what I mean?
And I find that's, I suppose, in looking from the glorious vision of Ireland to America, and you can see what the Americans are like. You can see how extreme they've gone, in that sense. Like they've gone far.
Yeah. I mean, I think the problem with America is it's their God-given right for freedom of speech,
Yeah,
and they think everything they say is protected by that amendment, but that doesn't include hate speech.
yeah.
But they still think it includes free speech. They think it's included in free speech, and then you have things like the only one Republican speaking out against Donald Trump and saying that he caused an insurrection, he did this, that, and the other, and she's like the third Republican in the House, and they all voted to kick her out.
Yeah.
That was only yesterday.
That was yesterday. Who was that?
Yeah.
Now? You know a lot about American politics. I don't. Like I have a clue about.
See, that's the good and bad thing with American politics. I love it, but
is it entertaining to you though? Is it?
Because it's entertaining.
Yeah, see, that's how I see it.
But it shouldn't be entertaining. Really, politics is meant to be boring.
Yeah,
and you see a lot of that sensationalism starting to creep in over here, like the idea of Leo Varadkar and he's leaking all these documents, and now there's a guard investigation, and there's found like even the idea of the left and the right, like
that idea.
And
I keep hearing that in the last year. In the last year, that's all I've heard is the left. Who's the left? These are leftists. These are rightists. I'm saying, lads, we're going too far down this American hole of like politics is here to make like real change, and like it affects real people. It's not an entertainment show like what the Americans have done, getting like the likes of Donald Trump in. Like, you want a Republican, get a decent Republican. Don't get a hotel owner. Like, you know what I mean?
But this is what I'm saying. I obviously, if I was American, I would be a Democrat, obviously, because that is the left.
Yeah.
They have their problems too.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't like Republicans, but there were Republicans who did have some kind of integrity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now they're all literally licking the arse out of this fucking octogenarian. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who's locked up in his little golf course down in Florida, sending out little statements every day because he's blocked from Twitter and Facebook. And they kicked the one person out of their party. Hold on one second.
That's alright, you're still there. I can still hear you.
Okay, 1 second. Sorry, I'm so popular today.
There you go.
So they kicked the one person out of their party that had some integrity and was actually telling the truth. And then you have someone who's the head of the Republicans come out and say, after she was kicked out, that, we don't want to talk about the insurrection, or that we don't believe the election was rigged or any of this. And I'm like, but that's literally your whole MO. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that thing was rigged, and he did, in fairness, what was his vote number tallying out? It was like it was
still like 73 or 74 million.
That's fucking huge.
But that's what's scary.
Yeah, that's huge. But does that not tell like that there is a lot of people in America who are just completely disenfranchised?
I think the problem was, especially the last year, it's happening here as well. People are so lonely and so vulnerable.
Yeah,
they'll buy into anything. So that's why the whole idea of QAnon, especially, got so
what
big.
Is QAnon?
Like, it's a very, very long story.
Is it like a Bebo page or something where people just make up shit?
It was. I think it was a Reddit, and then I watched a documentary. It was a Reddit, and then it was on like 4chan, and then obviously 4chan is an absolute cesspool.
Yeah.
4chan is basically Reddit, but you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
4chan is where loads of terrorists posted their manifesto before they did terrorism. Like what happened in Christchurch. Remember was it 2 years ago in Christchurch that fella shot up the mosque?
Oh jeez, I can't remember that now.
That was like 2 or 3 years ago. But he posted his manifesto an hour before he did it. That happened a couple of times. Happened in America as well. Fellas before they shot up places would post a manifesto on 4chan. But anyway, Q popped up basically saying that Trump was sent by God, and he was going to drain the swamp, and he was going to save America, and he was going to lock up all these the swamp, so everyone like fucking Hillary Clinton and all them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the date would always change. It's going to happen on this date, and it's going to happen now, and the date always changed. And then people were saying, "Oh, who is it? Who's it been?" And then everyone was like, "Oh, it's probably Trump himself." I'm like, "Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that man's not smart enough." But basically, it's just one long conspiracy theory.
Okay.
And people were looking for the signs and everything, and Q was a person, and he was telling them to look for signs and everything. You know what I mean? They're like, I've seen this, and Trump did that, and this means this, and this means that.
I remember seeing this thing, all right, yeah.
Yeah. or he'd say, "I've never heard of QAnon" or something. But then there'd be like fucking videos of him at rallies pointing at all the QAnon
Yeah,
signs. You know
but
what I mean?
this thing here, was that supposed to be like a white symbol or something like that? Was that was
Yeah,
it supposed to be?
but I think the problem is a lot of us do that anyway. Do
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean?
I
I
do
don't
that
do it so
daily.
much
Like
anymore.
if you put the finger
Yeah,
in, you get 2 digs in your arm and shit like that. Like that. I
yeah,
love how
exactly.
I love how the Irish have interpreted like a symbol that's supposed to be racist, but like I know, like if you see it, you have to get 2 digs in the arm.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it used to be. That, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
wasn't it? Where
but
you're like, look down there.
didn't he not didn't he not call out like like white supremacists or something during a speech? Where he said like
Ah,
utilize or something like that.
it was the last presidential debate. He was asked to condemn the Proud Boys, which were like the top. They're like the anti-Antifa, which
Okay, yeah,
doesn't make any sense
yeah,
because Antifa is anti-fascist, so they're anti-fascist, so they're fascists basically.
okay,
Uh, so he was asked by the moderator to basically condemn them, and he said, "I've done it. I've done it so many times." And he said, "Well, will you do it right?" And then he goes, "Oh, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by." That doesn't
right, yeah.
condemn anyone.
Yeah, no,
You know what I mean?
that doesn't say shit, to be honest.
And sure, look at the day of the fucking insurrection. He didn't do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then
He said,
the was it a load of was it Proud Boys or was it Antifa? That remember the riots that were in Washington only a couple of months ago?
"That's well." There was a lot of people at that.
Yeah, there was loads of
That
people at
was
that. Like.
that was a bit of everything. That was obviously the Proud Boys, but
Yeah,
you had people from all corners. You know what I mean? People you would never expect to be at it as well. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Suddenly feel emboldened, and then, like I said, this was only 4 months ago, and you have the Republicans in the House and in the Senate saying, "Oh," this one fella said yesterday, it was like it looked like a tourist trip to me. They were just walking around the Senate. I was like,
fucking hell,
"This is,"
yeah,
but this is the kind of revisionism they're trying to do in 4 months. That's what's crazy,
yeah,
and it wasn't that bad. I was like, you killed like I don't know how many cops they killed, but they killed a couple. So many
yeah,
were injured, and then this is the party of law and order. You
yeah.
know, it's
How do you
it's
how do you think that's infiltrated the Irish political sphere?
Gemma O'Doherty. Uh,
Oh, Darcy. Oh, that thing's just fucking yeah, Jim
that's
Darcy.
a thing. That's not a woman. That's a thing.
Uh,
Her and John Waters are just a shit stain on our
yeah,
country. Not the there's only one John Waters I respect.
yeah.
It's not him. But anyway, I think apparently now again, I don't know how true all this is, but it makes sense. A lot of those groups that like Gemma is behind and all those far right gobshite, um, they're funded by American groups.
I seen something like that a long time. Was
Yeah,
it the cat? Not the. Was it a church thing?
yeah,
Something
yeah.
to
I
do with
think
the
it was a church
church.
thing.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
seeing an article about that a long time ago. Actually, last year even.
because they want to create the same kind of chaos they're doing over there. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? It's I don't know, but thankfully, there's not a lot of them here because thankfully most people here are a little smarter than that. You would have been,
yeah, yeah,
but a lot of the lines that she has, or John Waters has as well, and all of them have, they seem like how often in your life as an Irish person have you brought up the Constitution, our Constitution,
yeah,
to do with our rights and this, that, and the other? Now all
yeah,
of a sudden, people want to talk about the Constitution,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's never not that it doesn't mean anything. It's a very important document,
It is. I
obviously.
know it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
but
understand. I understand where like if for the past like 10 years, all we've heard from America is like my right, especially with guns and
my
stuff.
rights,
It's just
Constitution. Yeah.
the Constitution, Declaration, all this jazz, and now suddenly Ireland's kicking in with a few breaking out the Constitution.
They were saying that this lockdown wasn't I can't think of the right word, but it was like constitutionally correct or something like that. And I was like, I don't think they even fucking knew what a lockdown was back then. So how can it have anything to do with the institution, Constitution?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And as they should have been, they've been laughed out of court like 3 or 4 times now,
yeah, they've been
and
in court a few
then
times, haven't they? Yeah,
they've been on their podcast saying we're not going to be paying any legal fees and all this. And it's a different story when someone's battering down your door. Do you know what I mean?
that's it. Like that's you have to hold those people accountable as they would anyone else. That's the way it is. Like,
I think, well, obviously, I'd be on the left, but I think the problem is with left and right. Sometimes everyone thinks they're both so right,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like
like correct.
one's correct, one's wrong. Like at this rate, I've seen both sides call the other side the right. That's
Well,
when I know. That's when I know this political, like the Irish politics, is slowly fucking going to the American standard of like shit low. When they're trying to grasp on to how we connect with the American politics as an entertainment industry rather than an
it is
actual
an
thing.
entertainment thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're calling each. Like I remember one party called the other party like the right side, and then the other side put out like a statement saying no, they're right, they're the right side. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, lads, this is like we're going back to school days here now. If you're going to call each other names, let's just get on with the bloody job.
This is the thing. Like, I don't think they're saying it as much here, but you do get a lot of people. Well, I mean, both sides calling each other Nazis and both sides calling each other fascists. I'm like, you're both assholes.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
obviously, a lot of my views would obviously be very left, and I'd say that. But I think the problem is there's just some people who are a little bit over the hill and take it a little bit, like you say, into entertainment. Do you know what I mean? And everything the right does is bad. I mean, at least we're not centrist. They're worse.
Yeah, no, I can't be dealing with that sort of stuff now.
I felt like the centrism for me is no. Centrism is very well. Both sides are wrong, and both sides are right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No. You need to pick a side.
Yeah, and that side, you never progress. Like that's how I see it. Like I always say in the last couple of years where one party spends more time trying to undo what the other party has done for the past 4 years rather than trying to progress. So like we never really progress. We just kind of fucking stay in this loop of trying to undo what other parties have done, and nothing ever fucking happens.
Well, especially here, I think the problem is, and it seems to be a problem in England as well, is even though people might not agree with most of what Fianna Gael does,
yeah,
they vote that way because they voted that way their whole life.
Yeah,
and that's what's going on in England as well, where the Conservatives keeps winning everything, and you're going, why? Because there's so many people who just vote that way. Same with Donald Trump. People might not like Donald Trump, but they vote Republican because that's the way they've always voted, even though they fucking hate him. It's just they'd never toe the party line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what's happening here. Fine Gael have been a fucking shitstorm for this country. They've done no good for however long. Yes, they can talk about the referendums, and Varadkar can take all the fucking credit for that. But lest we not forget, Varadkar said fucking 10 years ago that he believes marriage between a man and a woman. And yes, there is room for growth, and yes, he can change his mind, but he doesn't get to take credit for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I've like,
and he was very against the abortion referendum as well. Lest we not forget.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I remember. Someone we both know went up to him once with a reveal the 8 badge. Do you remember this story?
I don't know, but I'm trying to think who could it have been. Give me the first. Give me the first letter of the name.
M. Well, she's a friend of a friend, but like we know her well.
Ah, yes. Yes.
Yeah. Someone you'd think to do that, and I love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Sure, like I said, but you forget as well that Varadkar's not a popular person.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, yeah.
I have gone to several gigs where he's been there and he's gotten absolute dog's abuse. And people say, oh, with his night off, he doesn't deserve it. I was like, no, while there's people still sleeping cold in the street and there's direct provision, he doesn't deserve to rest easy.
Yeah. Is there anywhere, has direct provision taken any steps of... No.
They said, I can't remember the last thing I read, but wasn't it something to do with they plan to have it finished by a certain year?
Yeah, it was like, again,
now.
Yeah, they always say. See, that's my problem with a lot of government. Like, and I think it's not even in my head. It's not even the parties. It's the actual system and the way the system is set up. Does that make sense? The way our system as a whole country, rather than this individual parties way, like they give a date like for that sort of thing, and it just never transpires. Like there's like housing. The housing, like I think at this stage it was supposed to be housing for everyone at this by like 2024 or some shit like that, and we're nowhere near it.
But I think the problem. Oh, that's my earphone. Sorry. I think the problem with our system, especially, is because we have so many landlords as politicians in the Dáil, and that's why things never change on housing, because that's their bag fucked with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's just happened recently, hasn't it?
That happened last night, and obviously they all voted on party lines. The coalition voted their way, and then I don't know. I seen another tweet this morning, and some fella, I don't know how to describe it. He looked on Airbnb to see how many flats or how many houses or apartments were on Airbnb, and in just a certain area. I think he just went around the Docklands and around there, and it was a good few hundred. Like, that constitutes empty apartments, empty homes, empty flats that could be given to people, but have been bought up by vulture funds. Most of the people who rent out Airbnb, especially in the Docklands, are people who bought up a load of apartments.
Yeah, they bought
just rent them out.
Yeah.
So many of those apartments, especially around Grand Canal Dock, are completely bought up. They're just rented out as Airbnbs.
That's mad. Especially, like, you think about the amount of hotels and all that stuff actually going into the city centre as well. Like,
this is the thing. You know what I mean? That's what the vote was for last night, to stop vulture funds being able to do that. And I said, nah, it's all right. And then obviously a lot of those are landlords that probably own those places as well. So I mean, that's why now nothing will ever change until landlords aren't allowed to be politicians and allowed to sit in the Dáil. I don't think they should be allowed.
Yeah.
That's a conflict of interest. That wouldn't happen in any other government. Should have been. Maybe not every good government.
Every good government.
Most governments.
Yeah. Have you been writing much over the last couple of weeks?
Nah, here and there. Little ideas. I find it hard to write unless I have, like, unless I'm traveling. Is that bad?
No, you do. Well, you do travel a lot.
Yeah. I find I get my best ideas when I'm out and about and when I'm in different places. I'm only recently starting to discover Dublin, if that makes sense. Going to more places that I've never gone to before. I haven't gone in a long time. Like, I've spent a lot more time out in Howth and Malahide and not Sandymount, Dollymount.
Dollymount, yeah.
Like, some days I'll just go out there and just walk for hours.
Yeah.
With the dog and just sit and write things in my notes, have like ideas I want to have, do you know what I mean? But it doesn't compare to being somewhere else. I mean, as much as I give out about how much I hate it here, it isn't that bad.
You used to, you travel like every couple of weeks. I know that. Like, you used to follow bands, like, and to go to like 4 or 5 gigs. I remember, what was the story about Gaga? Was it Gaga and was it the Intercontinental?
No, I don't want. No, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about any of those stories.
Yeah, no, right.
That's all in the past. No, I mean, when I was younger, that was fun. Yeah. You know, when you're 17 and 18, you want to meet all your favorite celebrities, and then you realize how easy it is to actually do it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's only like a 1-second meeting, but it doesn't matter when you're 17. You just want to meet all these people.
And then so you always get to say that you've met them as well, like.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, I won't get into any specific stories because we'll be here all day. That would be a whole podcast. The worst would have to be when I camped out for 8 days. Was it 9 days? Might be 9. For Gaga. And this was, I remember actually, so it was 9 years ago. When we started college. You came the year after.
Yeah.
I went for the orientation, and then I went back to the camp, and then I came back 3 days later for the first class, and I went back to the camp. I was camping there every day. But here's the difference. Most of the people I knew there, it'd be different if you're camping and you don't know anyone, and you're just sitting outside this fucking stadium for a week and the pissing rain, not talking to anyone. Most of us knew each other.
Yeah.
And people started turning up every different day. Some people might only come in the afternoon, but then some people started coming and stay for the week. Thankfully, the people that stayed with us for the week were people I've known a couple of years.
And you got onto was that time you got onto the news? Was the news? Or?
Oh, I was in a couple of papers. I was on RT News as well.
Yeah.
But see, this is what brings me to the best part of the story. Even though you're sat outside for a week, you don't get to meet her. Only one person does. Or you're guaranteed to meet her. So the first person who was there at the time, you got a key to open the monster pit. So that was like a little pit inside the stage. That's why most of us camped, because we wanted to be there. You couldn't buy early entry for it or anything. So anyway, we didn't. Obviously, had not been. Didn't think we were going to meet her. But like I said, we got so much press coverage and stuff that week. You got a lot of brands sending us stuff
Yeah.
to just post on our Twitter or something. So Barry's Tea sent us like a box of tea that said Gaga's tea because they know she loves tea. So obviously, all of us with a brainwave, like, let's write all our names in the back of it. Say we've been outside for a week, we've been freezing our pussies off, we want to meet you, blah blah blah. So the only way you could ever get to meet her, besides being Q and Force, there was one song on the show, where people literally just fucking catapulted stuff on stage.
Okay. Yeah.
And you'd write her a note, or you'd throw her a present with a note on it.
Yeah.
And if she liked it, she'd find you, you'd go backstage. So obviously us absolutely, I could have, I can't remember, probably more, fucking screaming and bellowing at her to pick up the fucking box of tea. And so obviously it was actually one of the first things she picked up the Gaga's tea. She read out the note and she was like, yeah, you want to come backstage? And I think I nearly collapsed on the spot. And so as you can imagine, she has to come over and make sure who it is. And so the security guy go along the bar and give us fucking wristbands, and he had arms coming from every side of you, like, put it on me. I was like, fuck off. It's my special time. I wouldn't do that now.
No,
I couldn't sleep outside for a week.
No.
But there was something nice. Like I said, not nice, but it's something about meeting the people that you really like. And
that's a good story though as well. Like,
yeah. But
thankfully,
I mean? Like, everyone I've met, most people I've met have been very nice. I've only had a couple of bad.
Yeah, I won't. I know who it is. I won't let you say it online, just in case you meet them again.
No, sure, yeah, no, yeah, they might have been having a bad day, or bad 2 days. No, I listen. As I grew older, you learn to understand that just because I buy all their records and go to all their concerts doesn't mean that I'm not worthy. Is the wrong word.
Yeah,
worthy of their time. People don't have to give up their time for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This isn't a two-way transaction. You know what I mean? The same with most people. No one really deserves your time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sounds really mean, but
no, it's not.
You understand. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. No one like. It's something you give. That's the only thing you actually have control over. Nearly is your time. It's part of you and life, and like it's the most precious thing most people actually have.
I think a lot of people forget, and obviously again something I learned as I got older. You know everything about this person. They don't know who the fuck you are.
Yeah, they haven't a clue. Yeah,
you're walking up going with all this knowledge in the world about who they are, and they're just looking at you like it's another person. There's been very few people I've met who actually made you feel like a fucking human being. Yes, most people are nice, but yeah, you can tell when someone's being fake as well. But most are nice because obviously, especially in this day and age, if you're not nice to someone, that's online straight away. That was different 10 years ago. Yeah, there was Twitter, but it would never get the kind of pickup it gets now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, everyone's down there looking to cancel someone at this rate, or looking for the gossip, or looking for something that will just kind of, if someone has like a bad opinion of someone, they're just looking for any inkling to like help their argument in that sense.
But then, I mean, I think it's a thing as well because of someone like Gaga, who was so close to her fans and always had that. She made it really easy to meet her. Yes, there'd be a lot of people there, or there'd be loops to get through, but she made it easy. Now you find everyone is always talking about their fans and wanting to meet them. But you get a lot of people now who are charging like $1,000 for a meet and greet, or like who pays $1,000 to meet a human being? I've only paid money to meet. John Waters was the last person I paid to meet, and that was on Zoom. That was $100, but $100 that's priceless.
Yeah.
And that's usually what you'd pay if you go to a convention to meet someone like him.
Yeah.
And you usually only get a minute of his time. You come in, you say hello, how are you? Sign a book, get a picture, and you're gone. Whereas a Zoom conversation, it was like you had time to have a conversation. And he said to me, it's like, wouldn't you rather? Oh, you're not going to get your picture, and we don't get to meet in person. I was like, I think I actually prefer this. I feel like there's a lot of pressure put on at conventions, and I've only gone to a couple of conventions, and they're fun, but it does feel like a money making scenario.
How long? So obviously, I know in a convention you get a picture and you get a book, but that only lasts for the max 5 minutes or something. You're up, you're in, your snap, you're gone. How long is the Zoom?
I think everyone's different.
Yeah.
We were told we'd have 5 minutes.
Okay,
I had 15 or 20.
Like that's brilliant.
It was nearly 20.
Do you know what I mean? You're actually you're picking the brain nearly. Do you know what I mean? You're getting stories and
it's someone that, like, obviously I like people, but John Waters especially, they were like the first. All of his films were the first films I was obsessed with and kind of shaped my kind of fucked up sense of humor and the view of the world. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but it's true. Like, that's getting to talk to someone who literally fucking shaped you as a person was like, that was a lot. It was even bigger than me. Like,
Well, I suppose
you know what I mean? That
that's
was
the best one. Like, yeah, it means more.
yeah.
Yeah.
And someone who actually wants to speak to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was actually interested. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He loves his fans because they're fucking weirdos. You know what I mean? Because he's a weirdo. You know what I mean? That's why his work to me is still so interesting, because all the people in his films are fucking weirdos.
Throw 'em out.
But he doesn't look at them as less than. He looks at them as human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not pointing a camera up, it's pointing a camera down, it's pointing a camera at them.
Yeah.
How these weird people live their lives. You know what I mean? Absolutely gross and hilarious and everything, but they don't feel like, it never feels like he's looking down on them. That's why I always liked that.
No, man, that's deadly. Oh yeah, I didn't expect that. Now. I wasn't expecting that. I was just like, yeah, no, I know. It's like it feels kind of uplifting as like when people. It's cool because like
that was the highlight of my quarantine. That was the best thing about the last 14 months.
Did you not meet Sebastian? Was it you that met Sebastian Stan?
Oh yeah, that was at the convention. So that was probably where my story comes to. I paid £80 to meet Sebastian Stan. So that's like €100.
Yeah.
I had literally 5 seconds.
5 seconds with him.
I would say literally, it was, they might have overbooked it. I don't know, or they just literally had. It was just a mess. He'll only do it for a couple of hours every day, so he'll probably do 2 hours in the morning.
Yeah, like I was even surprised. In fairness, I was surprised when he said he was going to be at this convention by the fact that
I was surprised
where his career is currently at the moment. Like
you do get some of them. You do get some of the Marvel people do it. I didn't go. A couple of my friends went to one in Seattle a couple of years ago, and they had.
That's the big one, isn't it?
I can't remember what it's called.
Comic-Con, no?
But no, this is another one. It was.
All right.
It's not the one in San Diego. This is in Seattle.
Right.
I'm trying to remember. They definitely had Tom Holland. I remember that. They obviously had Sebastian Stan. I'm pretty sure they had Chris. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But there was definitely like people you wouldn't usually see at conventions. Whereas it was a big fucking deal when Sebastian Stan did it, because you don't get someone that big at like a UK con most of the time. And like I said, I don't think I'd ever do that again. Paying £80 for a picture with someone.
I understand that as well. Like I suppose if there's only one or two people you have left, like in your kind of bucket, everyone kind of has a bucket list of who they'd like to meet and stuff like that.
If it was £80 for a Zoom with someone again, I'd probably do that, because at least I know it's not
you get a
where you could buy. Yeah, with him, it was,
I do it as well. Like,
I don't think he was. I don't think he was rude. I think he's just fucking tired.
Yeah, I'd say.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having to meet all these, I'm sorry, weirdos. Some of these people were freaks.
Yeah.
I'm not looking down on them, but like the way these people put these people on a pedestal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Poor fucking man. You know what I mean? Or some people will. This is a girl, I think, in front of me. She paid for 3 meet and greets for herself, so she could have 3 times the time and have 3 different pictures.
Jesus Christ.
She wanted to get selfies in her pictures, and I want you to do this pose with me. I want you to do that pose with me. I'm like, he's not a fucking robot. You know what I mean?
Mate,
and I'm sure he's probably used to it, but I just want to go up and say, hey, how's it going? Take a walk. You know what I mean? It's not. Obviously, I like him because he's a big ride as well, but I do think he's a good actor, but I don't think I'd pay that money for most people again.
Yeah.
But then in the same breath, in the same day, I met, Jay and Silent Bob, obviously.
Yeah. Do you mean, who do you mean? Was it Kevin?
I met Jay. I met Jay.
Jay, yeah.
And he wasn't doing photo shoots. He just had a table.
He just chilling out.
Yeah, and you go up and they'll have like a sign. Most people do this instead of a photo shoot. They just have a table with a sign. It'll say an autograph is £20, a picture is £20, and you can probably get the 2 of them together for 30. I think that's what he did.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like you go up, sign, picture, and gone. He came out from behind the table, have a chat with you.
Yeah.
Take loads of pictures, not just one.
Yeah.
Then sign, have another chat. That was like most of them. I didn't meet many other people that day because it was hectic.
There was too much going on.
Yeah, it was. London. This is in London, so that's where everyone converges. I haven't been to a convention in ages. I'm probably going to go to one in October. There's one in Manchester.
Are they kicking off again in Manchester?
Yeah, I think they're kicking off most places in the UK, but this is the first horror convention in like years.
Oh, right, like big horror, like fucking.
They've gotten pretty much the whole cast of Rocky Horror there, so that's obviously the reason I'm going.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, Tim Curry is.
Yeah.
Tim Curry has been pretty much a recluse for years. He had a stroke a long time ago, and he's pretty much wheelchair bound. He doesn't turn up to much things, but they got him.
Deadly.
It's £150 for a picture. And you know what, bitch, I might.
That's your show, yeah, but you love that. Like, I know for a fact, like, that's your show.
Like, that's part of me is like, are they taking advantage of this man? He's practically a vegetable.
Well, maybe.
You know what I mean?
Maybe he needs it. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
Like you say, he's not making money. He's recluse. He's not working much anymore. Maybe he needs the money. Like, that's where the £150. Yeah, I always think like I would because like I always see about like these TV stars that come back, and I always look at them and saying like they're doing this now because they can't get work. That's how I see it. Like a lot, yeah. So in my eyes, this is their income. So if someone's looking for like £30 for a picture or something like that, and if I'm a fan of them, yeah, no problem, because I know that it's not as if they're like high in life and they're fucking making millions at the moment. They're actually probably jobbing. They're jobbing actors. They're jobbing. Yeah. Like they're just someone who.
That's what conventions are. You know what I mean? I think a lot of them do it for the money. Yes, there probably is some of them that do it because they do want to meet the fans, but most of the time it is for money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think the best description I think I've heard of conventions was actually Carrie Fisher, and Carrie Fisher didn't do a lot of conventions because, for obvious reasons, as you can imagine.
All the lads.
Yeah, exactly. So as it came to the end of her life, she started doing them. She looked at it as a lap dance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They give you money to do a little dance for them.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know what I mean? A lot of them, obviously, if I went to Carrie Fisher, it wouldn't be about just Princess Leia. There's a lot more to her than that. Most of the men that obviously walk up to her.
Yeah,
all the Princess Leia.
The old Star Wars lads just like fucking slapping their knees and licking their lips. Just calm down, lads.
Oh, that's what she was saying. She was like, all the majority of men come to her and say, "You were the first person I ever jerked off over. I ever came to."
That's mad. And imagine that someone
saying that to a human being.
Yeah,
like, I mean, with her, she'll laugh it off because she's a.
And it's funny because like they never like what's the word, like desexualized her in that sense. They never like Disney never came out, or Lucasfilm. They never came out and said like, calm down. You know what I mean?
You should read her books. Very short, very interesting, because she talks about that. That totally fucked up her whole life.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It fucked up her completely because she was only ever seen as this skinny princess in a fucking the swimsuit.
The gold.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
That fucked up her mind, her body,
and a career.
That's what people. But thankfully she had a bit of a career.
Yeah.
But it totally took over her life.
Yeah.
And she never really recovered from it.
Because I can imagine what it's like now. Like, now people, like, so someone who gets sexualized, like the actress who gets sexualized, they can come out on social media and, like, explain themselves, or they can show a different side to themselves. Like you're talking about, when was Star Wars? 70s, 80s?
77.
Do you know what I mean? Like, all people had of this particular person was the movie, and then they had one TV interview on probably the Late Show over in, like, with JyelllowL, and like they're the only two times people seen these people. So like the only image that these people had of this person was this sexualized image, and that's what I think. Like Lucasfilms never come out and gave her a hand with that.
No, and when you think about it as well, she talked about this in one of the books as well, that technically George Lucas still owned her image.
Yeah, see, that shit, man, that's fucking...
Of her as Princess Leia. Obviously he's given up a lot of that, but her image was owned by a man her whole life, and that was all she was ever seen as. Like I said, she mostly rose above it.
Yeah.
She's a very talented writer.
I remember watching what was it called? Catastrophe. Was that the name of the show with Rob Delaney and Sharon Horgan?
Oh, yeah.
And she was in the first season before she passed, and she was deadly in it. Yeah, she was unreal in it. The whole show was great, actually, in fairness.
You should definitely try and find the book. Wishful Drinking is the main one. That's just such a good book. But she did it like a live show. She toured it as like a talking piece, because there's so much more to her life as well. Obviously, you know that she's a daughter of like Debbie Reynolds, so she was born into like this life, and her fucking dad had an affair, and Debbie Reynolds with Elizabeth Taylor, and That was always the big, like, she was born into this Hollywood life. There was no other way she was going to be, you know what I mean? So even before she was Princess Leia, it was always expected probably that she was going to go into all of that. So
Yeah.
there's a lot there, a lot of trauma, but it's the way she talks about it in such a, satirical would be the best word. She's the best I describe Crayfish. She's a smart arse, but in the best possible way.
Yeah.
She's been through so much. It's just like, yeah, whatever. I don't care anymore.
Yeah. I remember seeing in the last couple of interviews. I've seen that kind of vibe. All right.
That's why it's always sad. What happened to her? Like,
yeah,
far too young.
So what's the plans now? Restrictions have been lifted. The travelling man, where thou shalt be travelling next?
Ooh,
anywhere exciting?
I'm
just back from Limerick.
Big trip down to Limerick on Monday to see my best mate. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Is there any American trips on the cards?
I was hoping to go. Well, the plan was September to go to New York because they open Broadway on the 15th.
Okay,
but not every show is going to open because I think 4 months is kind of short notice, especially for those big shows.
Yeah.
So a lot of them probably won't come back till November, December. So I might not even get to go till like January probably. But I might even go in September and see what's on just to get out. I have fucking 2 or 3 vouchers for different airlines from cancelled flights, so I don't have to pay for flights. It's just, like I said, it's a case of, obviously usually when I go to New York I try and see a show every day, but I'd rather just get out of here and just go somewhere different.
Yeah, and yes, a lot of people just want to kind of, they've been secluded mainly in their houses, and then they've just about gotten a couple of months of the country. But even then, like, I'd say it's actually cheaper to go to New York than it is to fucking stay in, I don't know, say Galway for a fucking 3 days.
But this is what I'm saying. I think people are taking advantage of Irish people.
Yeah.
Especially because in the last couple of years, so many more Irish people are travelling. It's just such a thing now to just go away for the weekend or go away for a couple of days. And everyone was, but most people were, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's been such a big boom in the last few years, and such cheap flights. So now that the fucking hoteliers and everything here know that they have a captive audience, you know what I mean?
They're trying
to pay anything. They don't have the angst as much as they used to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people will literally go anywhere that's not their home. So
fuckers.
Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. That's business.
That's
horrible. Capitalism and all that, but what can you do? Like I said, I'd rather go anywhere. I don't even want to stay in the country. I need to get out of this bubble. I want to be vaccinated now.
Get out of the bubble, get vaccinated, take a few pictures and tell me how it's going to go, and then I'll be able to fly out.
Who knows I'm going to get fucking vaccinated? That's the problem.
That's the thing. Sure. What can we do? Right. I suppose on that lovely note of the hope for vaccination and Broadway shows, I will leave you there.
Thank you.
I want to say thanks for coming on. Thanks for having a chat. It's been a great chatting with you, Albert. Remember to keep writing, and I will catch you in the next one.
Right.
Yeah. See you later.